Young mum warns of rock fishing dangers after losing husband and son. A young mother is warning others about the dangers of rock fishing after losing her husband and son at one of Sydney's popular beaches. The tragic incident happened on the weekend when the family was swept into the ocean by a large wave. The mother, who managed to survive, is now calling for more to be done to educate the public about the risks involved with rock fishing. She hopes that her story will serve as a wake-up call for beachgoers to take safety seriously. It's not just the lack of birthing services in Carnarvon, staff shortages mean families can't get children immunized. Families in Carnarvon are struggling to get their children immunized due to the lack of community health nurses caused by staff shortages at the local hospital. The shortage also led to the suspension of birthing services for the past 16 months, resulting in 103 women giving birth hundreds of kilometers away from home. Health Minister Amber Jade Sanderson said efforts were being made to fill the vacancies for the short term, including allocating time by the on-site public health nurse to provide immunizations. A structural review is also being undertaken of Carnarvon's community health services. How to save power and money as electricity prices increase across Australia. From July 1, electricity prices will increase in several Australian states, affecting over 600,000 customers. To help soften the impact, state governments are offering energy rebates to concession card holders and the wider population. There are also small, inexpensive changes you can make around your house to save power and money, such as adjusting your cooking and laundry habits, and making use of natural light. By switching to a laptop and taking advantage of energy assistance rebates, you can save hundreds off your power bill. Click the link to see what rebates are available in your state and learn more energy-saving tips. The rise of truck enthusiast Glenn Lewis, celebrating his 60th birthday with a 16,600 km road trip. Glenn Lewis, a former coal miner, is celebrating his 60th birthday by embarking on a 41-day, 16,600 km road trip around Australia in his T950 Kenworth. After converting a shipping container into a home, he plans to travel with a generator, a motorbike, and a 14-hour playlist featuring classics from the 60s to the 90s. Lewis's passion for trucks has only grown since he was 10 years old and earned pocket money by washing trucks. For Lewis, the trip is a way to celebrate his lifetime of hard work and his addiction to trucks. Beijing stays mum on Wagner mutiny as China-Russia partnership speculated. As mercenary fighters from Wagner head back to their bases following a failed mutiny, Chinese officials remain tight-lipped on the matter. While China's foreign ministry referred to the incident as Russia's internal affair, experts suggest China may re-evaluate its relationship with Russia. The U.S. Indo-Pacific coordinator, Kurt Campbell, spoke on the issue, revealing that the brief rebellion would have been unsettling for Beijing. Meanwhile, Chinese social media was abuzz with discussions about the incident, with users making historical references to share their views on China's heavily censored internet. The developments inside Russia could hint at a possible shift in the dynamics between Beijing, Moscow, and the West. Former Indigenous Affairs Minister acknowledges confusion over WA's new Aboriginal Heritage Act. Former Indigenous Affairs Minister Ben Wyatt, who was involved in the design of Western Australia's new Aboriginal Heritage Act, has acknowledged the legitimate confusion surrounding the legislation. The Act, which replaces the previous one-size-fits-all approach and involves traditional owners in proposals, will come into effect on July 1. Wyatt has also expressed his concern that some are using the changes as a tool against the upcoming referendum on an Indigenous voice to Parliament. Despite government consultation over the past 5 years, some individuals still have concerns. Indigenous groups worry they lack resources to manage their new responsibilities under the Act. Gold Coast surfing competition defends decision not to hold women's open division. The Kirra Longboard Classic surfing competition on the Gold Coast has faced backlash for not holding a separate women's division and splitting the prize pool equally between men and women. The move followed a push by professional surfer Lucy Small, who organized a group of women to nominate for all available slots. However, Kira Longboard Classic director Sean McEwen defended the decision, saying the women's high-performance surfing skills were not on par with men's, and female surfing was far more stylish. Small criticized the decision, saying it has politicized the event. The competition will still go ahead at the end of July with an all-male open division. Teenage boy dies after being found injured on road in Melbourne's northwest. Victoria Police are investigating the death of a teenage boy in St Albans, Melbourne's northwest. Emergency services were called to Bailey Street just after 11 p.m. on Monday, following reports of an injured boy on the road. Authorities said a number of people were reported to have been seen in the same location as where they found the teenager, and that witnesses said they were armed with a knife. The teenager died on the way to hospital. Detectives are calling for anyone with information to come forward and contact Crime Stoppers on 1-800-333-000. Author, unknown category, death and dying. Lab-grown meat may soon hit Australian grocery stores. Description: Australia's Food Standards Body is reviewing an application to sell lab-grown meat products, with cultured meat company Vow leading the charge. The US has already approved the sale of lab-grown chicken, and the growing global trend follows plant-based meat alternatives. Cell-grown meat is created by growing animal cells in a cultivator or bioreactor and feeding them nutrients, gradually creating meat that doesn't directly replicate animal produce. Already including products such as cultured quail and foie gras, these luxury meat alternatives may be on grocery shelves as early as next year. Publication date: Tuesday, the 27th of June 2023. 3 hours 34 minutes and 42 seconds plus 0000 link. Lab-grown meat may soon hit grocery store shelves in Australia as the country's Food Standards Body reviews an application to sell cell-based meat products. Luxury cultivated meat company Vow is leading the charge, with products including cultured quail and foie gras. The US has already approved lab-grown chicken, and the growing trend follows plant-based meat alternatives. Unlike plant-based meat, cell-grown meat is created from animal cells grown in a cultivator or bioreactor and fed nutrients. It aims to create meat that doesn't directly replicate animal produce. The regulator expects to consult on the application in August and decide by March. Queensland nurse awarded $1.6 million damages after injury from avoiding thrashing patient. A registered nurse in Queensland, Trinette Ruth Wilson, has been awarded $1.6 million in damages after successfully suing the Gold Coast Hospital and Health Service for negligence in a variety of ways, including failing to instruct her to leave patient restraint to security officers. Ms. Wilson twisted away from a patient who was thrashing in a bed, resulting in a debilitating hip injury. The injury has resulted in significant pain, from which she has never had relief. She is unable to work and requires a disability support pension and a family tax benefit. The court found she should have been trained to avoid restraining patients. What you need to know about Canberra's 2023-24 budget. Canberra's population is booming, making it one of Australia's fastest-growing cities. The ACT government has tabled its 2023-24 budget, and while it offers some protection against hardships, it is not entirely good news. One driving factor behind the budget is Canberra's population growth, which has led to a cash injection for the government in the form of a GST windfall. The growing population also adds pressure to public services and makes it challenging for residents to find housing. Although the government is increasing the city's public housing stock, it is withholding details on where to build new housing. Hajj pilgrimage numbers are set to hit a post-COVID record. Here's what the ritual means to Muslims. Over 1.8 million pilgrims from around the world have gathered in Mecca for the Hajj pilgrimage, and it is expected to reach pre-COVID levels of more than 2 million. The pilgrimage, a mandatory requirement for Muslims, is a deeply spiritual experience that absolves sins, unites Muslims globally, and brings them closer to God. For some pilgrims, it is the culmination of a lifetime of savings and years of waiting. The Hajj ritual involves walking in the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad and retracing the journey of Ibrahim and Ishmael, who built the sacred Kaaba. The pilgrimage will last for 5 days. 5 days. 5 days. 5 days. Hepatitis A outbreak prompts vaccination drive at Toowoomba School. Health officials have identified 2 people with locally acquired cases of hepatitis A in southern Queensland and are now working to identify close contacts. A child who attended the Darling Heights State School on May 14 was among those infected. As a result, a free pop-up vaccination clinic will be set up this week to help protect staff, students, and their families from the virus, which can cause inflammation of the liver, leading to fevers, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and jaundice. Experts say that while the disease is usually asymptomatic in children under 5, it can cause complications in people aged over 40. 40. 40. 40. Shark feeding frenzy off Queensland coast, signals healthy ecosystem, researcher says. A feeding frenzy of around 50 tiger sharks was captured on video off Hervey Bay, Queensland, where the ocean predators were consuming the remains of a humpback whale that was believed to have died from natural causes. Great Sandy Marine Park Senior Ranger Daniel Clifton, who witnessed the event, said it was an exciting spectacle. The sighting of sharks in such high numbers in the area is encouraging and signals a healthy ecosystem, said researcher associate at Pacific Whale Foundation, Barry McGovern. While the recent string of whale strandings is unusual, McGovern says it is not a cause for concern. 2 men charged over 1993 Darwin sexual assault using historical DNA samples. Northern Territory Police have announced that 2 men have been charged with sexual assault offences over the alleged attack of a 22-year-old woman in Darwin nearly 3 decades ago. The charges come as a result of a renewed investigation spurred by an arrest in September 2022, which led to the discovery of DNA samples matching those taken during the initial investigation in 1993. The 2 men, aged 52 and 49, have been charged with aggravated intent to have carnal knowledge. Both men will appear in the Darwin local court next month. Victim of golf club attack left with significant brain injury. David Pentland, a man left with a significant brain injury after being attacked with a golf club by a parolee who was looking for the previous occupant of his home, delivered a victim impact statement to the Adelaide District Court. The attacker, Travis James William Fuller, was jailed in 2019 and 2021 for kidnapping, dissuading a witness and various aggravated harm incidents, including shooting another person in the leg and squeezing a victim's fingers between tongs. Fuller, who appeared via video link in court, pleaded guilty to aggravated causing serious harm with intent in February this year. He is expected to be sentenced in August. Title: 6-year rugby league sensation aims for 100 tries in a season. 6-year-old rugby league player Parker Tennant from Caloundra Sharks is on his way to making history by scoring 100 tries in a single season. Parker has already scored 89 tries this season, with 5 games still left to play. He also holds the record for scoring 11 tries in a single game. Parker hopes to represent Queensland, rather than New South Wales, where his parents migrated from. Historians have searched through the record books but could not find evidence of any player scoring 100 tries in a season at any age group. Budget measures for Canberra households facing financial hardship. The ACT budget for 2023-24 will include measures to ease the fiscal burn felt by many Canberra households due to rising interest rates and increased costs of essentials. ACT Chief Minister Andrew Barr explained that some measures would help reflect the priorities and aspirations of a rapidly growing city. The budget allocates $50 million to early childhood education, including 1 day of free preschool per week for all 3-year-olds, and $230 million to schools and education facilities. While rates will still increase, it will be less harshly than in previous years. These measures provide relief to households like Tess's and Remus's. Flood-affected community in limbo as scope of home buyback scheme unclear. The New South Wales Northern Rivers community, still reeling from last year's catastrophic floods, is facing more uncertainty as key recovery bodies cannot seem to agree on how many flood-damaged homes will be eligible for a buyback, raising, or retrofitting offer. The head of the New South Wales Reconstruction Authority disputed the widely held assumption that 2,000 homes would eventually be eligible for a voluntary buyback, with another 4,000 eligible for either house raising or retrofitting. The estimated cost of buying back 2,000 homes in high-risk locations almost doubled what had been pledged so far. The situation has left affected communities distressed. High school failed to adequately support student who was allegedly sexually assaulted, Ombudsman finds. A report by South Australia's independent watchdog, Wayne Lines, concludes that a public high school student who was allegedly sexually assaulted by two peers waited almost a month before being offered counselling. While the principal concluded that the allegations of indecent and sexual assault were well-founded soon after they were reported, the school did not provide adequate support to the victim and their family. The Ombudsman found that the department's suspension, exclusion and expulsion procedure was deficient and failed to provide holistic guidance to decision-makers in relation to exclusionary discipline. 6 recommendations have been made to improve the department's handling around exclusionary discipline. Water birds dying in oil spill south of Perth as authorities probe cause. The Department of Water and Environmental Regulation (DWER) is investigating an engine oil spill that is harming and killing birds in Perth's southern waterways. The spill was first reported by WA Seabird Rescue last month, with freshly oiled birds found in Furnessdale, Wellard Wetlands, Tern Island, Lake Richmond and Penguin Island. At least 10 birds have died, and dozens of pelicans have been rescued and taken to WA Wildlife in Bibra Lake for treatment. While the source of the spill is yet to be identified, sample testing suggests it is engine oil. DWER has been working with several groups to locate the source. Radicalized foreign fighter jailed over Syria trips, supporting terrorism. A Queensland man has been sentenced to over 8 years in jail for engaging in hostile activities in a foreign country and advocating terrorism. Agha Majazi travelled into Syria with an intention to overthrow the Syrian government by force and establish a state government by Sharia law, the Queensland Supreme Court heard. He battled the Syrian government alongside terrorist groups, making social media posts boasting about beheading prisoners during battle. Despite not being a member of any specific prescribed terrorist organization, his posts showed he was committed to the hostile activity he was involved in. Taylor Swift's Melbourne shows declared a major event in government bid to prevent ticket scalping. The Victorian government has declared Taylor Swift's upcoming Melbourne tour a major event, which means ticket scalping laws will apply to protect fans from being overcharged. The American singer is set to grace the city in February next year for her Eras tour, and with competition for tickets expected to be intense, the government has put in place measures to prevent scalpers from ripping off fans. The laws mean tickets cannot be advertised or sold for more than 10% of their original price. Offenders could face fines ranging between $925 and $554,760. Murder investigation launched by SA Police into death of 17-month-old child. South Australian police are investigating the death of 17-month-old Ronan, treating it as a murder investigation. On June 7, the child was allegedly assaulted while under the care of friends, who are known to the parents. The child sustained head and other injuries that were not survivable, according to police reports. He died 2 days later in the Women's and Children's Hospital. Upon his return to his father's Otway home, he was unable to be roused, leading his father to call an ambulance. The police have not released any information about potential suspects or motives at this time. Link. Federal police to investigate possible criminal offences over Chris Wilson's helicopter crash. Australia's National Transport Safety Agency, the Australian Transport Safety Bureau (ATSB), has made a referral to the Australian Federal Police (AFP) regarding possible criminal offences relating to its investigation into a fatal helicopter crash that killed Chris Wilson. The ATSB is investigating several factors that could have contributed to the crash, including maintenance records, fuel quality, and operational documentation. The agency states that there is potential evidence of issues affecting the available evidence to the ATSB for its no blame safety investigation. The ATSB's final report is expected to be published by September. The AFP has referred the matter to the Northern Territory Police for further investigation. Special Investigative Office probing Lawyer X scandal to be shut down with no charges laid. Victoria's Office of the Special Investigator (OSI), set up to investigate possible criminal charges against those involved in the Lawyer X scandal, will be shut down without anyone being charged. The Royal Commission into the Management of Police Informants revealed how barrister Nicola Gobbo became an informer and betrayed her clients. Former High Court Justice Geoffrey Nettle was appointed to lead the OSI, but his attempts to bring charges against police and others were rejected by the Director of Public Prosecutions. Despite the Royal Commission's recommendation that the special investigator submit charges through the DPP, the OSI will be disbanded. WA households get extra power bill credit as Synergy agrees to pay $30 million fine. Western Australian households will receive an additional $28 off their power bills, as Synergy pays a $30 million fine for overcharging some industrial customers. The state's largest power retailer was found to have inflated its prices over 11,000 times between 2016 and 2017, resulting in revenue growth of up to $102 million. The Economic Regulation Authority claimed that Synergy used gas prices set in a long-term contract with the Gorgon project, rather than cheaper gas available on the spot market. The agreement involves the fine being paid to residential customers and comes on top of already announced government credits. Police find car of missing Belgian tourist at Waterfall Track car park. Tasmania police are searching for a missing Belgian tourist, Celine Kremer, 31, after her car was found abandoned in a car park at the Philosopher Falls track in Waratah on the state's west coast. Police received a concern for welfare report for her on Monday, as she hasn't been seen or heard from since June 12. Police have been searching the area on foot and using a drone to help with the search. Anyone who has been in the Philosopher Falls car park since June 12 is urged to contact the police. Kremer was traveling the state in a white Honda CR-V with registration number E40TF.